Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everest Strong Coaching Podcast. My name is Liam Hubbard, and today I'm co hosting with Dr. Carla Steingraber. And we are so excited to welcome Maia Weintraub today for our podcast. And before we get into things, just want to thank you, Maia, for joining us. Really looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, of course, I'm excited to be here.
And before we get into some questions, I'll just briefly introduce you and Carla to our viewers. So, for any first time viewers out there, Carla is a certified mental game coach and is a licensed clinical and sports psychologist who is based out of Northbrook, Illinois, in the Chicago area. And she has been practicing for nearly 20 years now, working with athletes from youth to professional athletes across the spectrum there. And Maya is a very well accomplished fencer and person in general. She is an NCAA champion in foil fencing, as well as an Olympic gold medalist, and attends Princeton University. So, welcome again.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Maya. I'm so curious. What's your first memory on the fencing strip? Just paint us a picture of what actually drew you into the sport.
Being so proud to have gotten a medal. I came in 8th place, except what I don't normally tell people is that I was out of 9 people who were in the competition. Yes, I got my first medal at my very first competition.
That's always fun. Did you fall in love then with fencing right away, or was it more of a slow burn?
I think it was a slow burn for me. One thing that definitely drew me to fencing was the community within fencing. I think some of my best fencing friends, even to this day, I made in practice training halls on the competition field. And I think that's what really kept me in the sport, just because I really enjoyed being in that community and hanging around those types of people.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that from certain sports where they're club related, where people really buy into that community, and that it's really great to even have that community outside of school because you almost have another family to go to.
Yeah.
Was there ever a point when you thought of walking away from the sport?
I don't think there was ever a point where I wanted to stop fencing, but I think there were definitely moments where I needed a break from it.
Hi everyone, what's your Everest? We all have a mountain we're trying to climb. My book here, What's Your Everest? How to Win in Sports, Career, and Life While Enjoying the Ascent, is here to help you with your journey to the top while enjoying the climb. It's written for both teens and adults who are looking to grow, push themselves, and believe bigger. It's available on Amazon. And if you find this book is helpful to you, even with one step up the mountain, I'd truly be grateful for your review. Keep climbing. You've got this.
I do remember my one of my first thoughts when I stepped on that final strip, when I started fencing against in the gold medal bout against Team Italy. I wanted to have the perfect tactics, but really
Mm.
quickly I realized that was holding me back and putting myself in a box where I wasn't able to be creative and play and have fun, which is something that I personally really like to do with fencing. That's what kind of produces my best work. And in those moments, I remember thinking, you know what? Like, I'm not going to be perfect. Like, this is about expressing yourself and having fun. I'm on this amazing stage. And
Mm.
when's the next time I'm ever going to be up here again? I don't know. So I'm just going to have fun and leave my all out there. And so I remember thinking that. And that immediately, I think, changed my fencing. I was down 3-0. And after I thought that and just kind of let myself experience and enjoy the moment of being on that like gold medal strip, I think I ended up closing my leg by winning 6-3.
Wow. Wow. And that's so incredible because I've heard this not just from clients that I've worked with, but you hear it from people like Michael Jordan, even Scotty Scheffler presently. Like there's so much work that is hard work. It requires grit and discipline to get you to the point to compete at that level. It is so important to be able to kind of rely on that training and then let go in the actual competition because it has to be automatic. It has to be free and fluid. It can't be perfect. It's not
Mhm.
choreographed in that sense. That's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really So powerful and important. Do you have any go-to sort of mental rituals or routines before stepping onto the strip that have helped you let go in that kind of way?
Mm. I think for me, I think specific to fencing, everyone has their own thing. Usually for me, I like to go with the flow, maybe not have as much of a concrete plan or strategy going into it, because sometimes that tends to box myself
Mm,
down and I'm not able to be creative with my thinking. But sometimes if I'm not feeling it, it's really hard to just, go with the flow. So I kind of have this is very fencing specific, and maybe this isn't answering your
mhm.
question like the way you want it to. But like for footwork and fencing, I'll have like a specific footwork structure. So having more structure before I go into a bout, that'll help me um, kind of ground myself more for the beginning of the bout. And then whatever happens, happens. But at least I have that structure going into it to help me get kickstarted.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a pre-shot routine, right? You've got
Yeah.
something that kind of gets your head in the game.
hmm
What about when a
Yeah.
bout isn't going your way? What's your internal conversation like?
My internal conversation. Um,
Yeah.
It's funny because I mentioned how I don't like to go into a bout with a strategy, but I really like to come up with the strategy while I'm fencing. So it'll be a lot of talking to myself, like, okay, how am I getting hits? And analyzing how am I hitting them and kind of creating a plan as I go, which probably isn't the most productive. I could be doing this before I fence them, but that's just something that helps me stay grounded again in the actual bout.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, that makes sense. And when things aren't going well, how do you recover from performance setbacks, both
Mhm.
physically and emotionally? Because there's kind of that dual component to that.
Yeah. Um, One thing that I always try to make sure I have in my life is, a balance with fencing, but also my own personal like activities and hobbies where my whole life isn't solely dedicated around my sport. Even though it is a big part of my life and my identity, it's not the only thing that I have going on. And I think during the Olympic qualification season when things are very unknown. So our Olympic qualification starts in September and our team wasn't actually decided until May. So that's
Oh,
2 months before
a lot
we
of time.
went to Paris. We didn't know the team and I didn't know if I was going to qualify
Wow.
until May. And so that entire year, you go to maybe 7 or 8 different competitions, and not all of them are going to go your way. And I think during such a stressful season, the lows are going to feel a lot lower than a normal season. And for me, I was living off campus at Princeton and having a part time job. I thought it was really important for me to make sure that I still had my community of friends and family close by to me because I knew I was going to need them to lean on and for support. And I think that really helped shift my focus when things weren't going my way because it's most likely not going to be perfect. You're not going to win every single competition you go to. You're going to have setbacks, but you shouldn't let that stop you from overcoming that and continuing on your journey.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and you really have quite a full and busy life. I mean, you're at Princeton, you're doing mosquito research. How do you
Yeah.
really juggle being this top level athlete and student?
Honestly, I don't really know. I kind of try and take things one step at a time, focus on each day. I do like to plan, but sometimes I even get overwhelmed by looking at maybe my like a month long plan or even a year, what I want to do in a year. So I try and take it day by day. Um, so some things I might tell myself is, okay, I what am I going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go to the gym, I might go to practice, and I have this for work to do. I mean, lots of people have goals and I have goals and dreams, but it's not going to come as easily without sacrificing things in your
Yeah. Is there something unexpected about you that has nothing to do with fencing besides your mosquito research?
life. Something unexpected about me. Well, I like to dance. I am in no way trained or a professional dancer in a K-pop dance group at my university. It's something
Oh,
that
yeah.
kind of is a distraction, but a good distraction from fencing. And sometimes it even counts as cross training. So it's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. Right. Have you ever felt really pulled between different parts of who you are? Athlete, daughter, friend,
Mhm.
student?
I think earlier on I mentioned the importance of sacrifice and having to
Mm,
learn how to sacrifice early on in my life because of fencing, especially when it comes to building relationships with my friends.
mm,
A lot of times I would be away competing, but at the same time, I think that brought us closer together because I would see that they would understand why I'm away, and we would kind of we would have to put in that extra effort, and I would see when my friends would put in that extra effort to sort of strengthen our relationship and make sure that we're still there for each other, even if I have to be away.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting tough balance because there is so much that you sacrifice that you don't get to do. There was some video I was watching about an Olympic skater, and he had finally won gold, and he was saying all the parties I didn't go to, all the drinks I didn't drink, it was finally worth it. How
Yeah.
was that for you after reaching the Olympics? I know returning back to college level or national competition was in some ways challenging. Is there something you're doing to really work on finding the meaning again?
That was definitely something I struggled with after being on the Olympic stage, going back to national and collegiate tournaments, like you said, because in my mind, I would always have this feeling like I was just at the Olympics. I was just fencing on like this incredible stage. It's different. It really is. Not that it's less important. It just is different, and it was hard for me to wrap my mind around, like not being in the past and kind of moving on forwards. And I think taking that break, my break away from fencing, like I'm still keeping up with the fencing world championships just happened, and I was watching, cheering along my teammates, but kind of the actual physical act stepping away so that hopefully those feelings of wishing to be back on the strip would come back, and that's what's gonna motivate me again.
You have your sights set on 2028,
Hopefully I will be able to represent the US on home turf, home ground.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Mhm.
and that's going to be it for you. You've got other plans for after that.
Yes, my plan as of right now to continue fencing until LA 2028. And then after, I am actually hoping to go on to medical school. So I have those goals after my fencing goals.
Yeah. So what's retirement from competitive fencing going to mean to you? Anything, not just practically, but also
Mhm.
emotionally?
Yeah, I think I'm actually having a taste of that right now because I did take such a big break.
Yeah.
I think if you had asked me before I took this break, how would I feel about retiring after 2028? I have so many other things in my life going on, like to keep me busy and distracted that I have to look forward to. But taking this break, and I'm feeling that and I've thought about, oh, what if I, continue it recreationally? And the answer is I don't know how I'm gonna feel, but it's definitely more complicated than what I would have told you before I took this break.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really complex, right? It's been such a big part of your life. Are
Yeah, and it's
there
not just
parts
gonna
of
go away.
Yeah, yeah. Are there parts of yourself that you hope will really outlast your fencing career?
What do you mean by that?
Well, things that really played a big part in fencing, but maybe will have to find another outlet.
Outlet? I think my competitive energy. I think I've learned how to tone it down. I know how to channel it through fencing, but once fencing's gone, I don't know what's gonna happen. That's why I thought of maybe doing it recreationally, but at the same time, like I know myself, and I think I don't know if I can think about this sport that I've done so at such a high competitive level if I could do it, just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll have to find something else to as an outlet for my competitive energy, but that is to be determined.
Well, med school might give you that opportunity
Yes,
for a while.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, I feel like you have such a unique and insightful perspective on that relationship between identity and sport because sports are a thing that, can definitely be shaped into someone's identity, but especially for you having trained in fencing your entire life, been
Mhm,
to the Olympics, won a gold medal. What advice would you have for younger athletes who maybe are in their own version of a situation where their identity is so wrapped up in sports? And in some instances, that can lead to struggling with self-worth tied to
mhm.
performance. So, yeah, what would you say to a younger athlete in that position?
Yeah, I think it's hard even with, having other things and activities and hobbies in your life. If you are really dedicating yourself to this one sport, it's inevitable that it's gonna be probably a big part of your identity, probably, like, the majority. Um, hmm, sorry, I'm just thinking 'cause it's a tough question.
Yeah, take your time.
Yeah, I think
I guess it really is so
mhm,
important, like you're saying, to not be reliant on one thing for your self-esteem, right? And
yeah,
to keep staying connected to other aspects of yourself that bring you joy, uh, where you have some kind of relief or fun or something else
mhm,
to work on competing in, because each part of our career at some point has an ending, and yet
yes.
there's still time to do more of something else. So where do we
Yes,
find those
totally.
outlets? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would tell younger athletes to, enjoy enjoy it while you can, this one sport or aspect being so tied into your identity because eventually it will change. And maybe you don't have to accept that now. It's really early on in your career, but just know that it will eventually go away. And so, like, hold on to it while you can, maybe, because that's something I'm starting to realize now, right? Like, I started fencing when I was 9, 10 years old. So I've had a very long career, even though sometimes I don't realize it.
Yeah. If, things keep moving forward and we change,
Mhm,
et cetera. And yeah, it's important to savor the moment. That's right. It goes by
mhm.
quickly sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've really trained and traveled and competed around the world. How have your coaches and your teammates really helped shape who you are?
Mhm. Well, fencing it's an individual sport, but you can't train and get better without having other people there. You need coaches, you need teammates or opponents to compete
Right.
against in order to practice and get better. So I don't think I could have achieved like getting to this level without like my friends or even people who I don't consider my friends like pushing me and us pushing each other. So it's always people helping each other get better, whether they realize it or not. I'm from Philadelphia, and the fencing scene in Philadelphia isn't super strong. There's not many fencers, and from an early age, my dad actually would drive me up to New York, where it was like a huge hub for fencing because
Mm.
he understood even when I didn't, when I was 10 or 11 years old, I didn't know anything. That in order to improve in fencing, like you need to fence people better than you. If there's no one
Mm.
better than you, then you're never going to be learning new things or how to overcome challenges. So I think due to the help of people around me, whether that's my actual opponents or coaches or even my dad, my parents, taking me to these opportunities to seek out these opponents, like, I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am right now.
It's really incredible. And even to learn that at a young age, that challenging yourself and really getting comfortable with being the weaker opponent,
Mhm.
is so important, because you have to learn how to lose, and tolerate it so that you have the mental space to actually learn from the mistakes along the way. And it really is the only way to get better. I do see a lot of people who wish they could just sort of snap their fingers and be the best. And they're not really happy with the journey uphill, even though, in a sense, that's the most exciting part is that
Mhm.
progress and getting better. Was there
Yeah.
something about your Olympic experience that helped shift or change your understanding of success and maybe even happiness?
Mm, I think, having fenced the qualifying year and achieved my goal of reaching to the Olympics, it's very easy to, like, intertwine the feeling of success with happiness. But, looking
Mm,
back, even if I hadn't ended up qualifying for the Olympic team, even having done the entire season, putting so much effort into it, it would have been like a letdown. But at the same time, I think I learned a lot during that season of competing. I think I like the relationships that I had with my friends who were there, who I could lean on for support, that kind of bolstered our relationships too. I was really happy with the actual journey of my Olympic qualification, more so than the outcome, I would say, which I think might be a
mm.
little hard to like understand at first. But looking back on everything, I think that's what I would say.
I
That's
think you had
amazing.
said to me earlier that you took the year off, obviously, to train and prepare, and that
Mhm.
you had no regrets about that, regardless of the outcome, right?
Yes, yes, very
Yeah.
much so.
I love your perspective on embracing the journey over the outcome because I feel like that is a widely known and accepted conceptually, but can be
Mhm,
so challenging to
Mm.
put that into practice mentally. So
mhm,
that's just really cool to hear it from someone who competes at the very highest level of, yeah, to get the results they will follow, but really enjoy that process while you're in it.
mhm. Yeah, totally.
Well, thank you so much, Maya. That was really all of our questions, but I'll hand it off to Carla for our final question that Carla always asks. So I'll hand it to you there.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked a lot about the process of excelling or the process of chasing a goal, really the journey uphill. So, what besides medical school, and I know maybe it's hard to think that far into the future, but what's your next Everest?
My next Everest?
Yeah, well, you've already made it to the Olympics.
This
What's
is
next?
true. Hmm. Okay. I think as of right now, we're talking in the moment,
Yeah.
um, like a couple months after the Olympics, I think it was actually one of my last tournaments before I took my break. I actually got injured. I injured my hip. Maybe Everest is it's it's bigger than what I'm about to say, but I think
No.
just,
Yeah.
competing again. That's my next goal, to be able to compete
Yeah.
again, like, healthy and happily.
Yeah, I love that because obviously I work with athletes at all levels, and sometimes I'm working with athletes that are post-retirement age. And so what their sport looks like now is really different from when they were 20, 30, 40. And they have to kind of readjust their goals. And there's
Mhm.
PT involved. And sometimes just the joy of being able to get back to it is
Mhm.
really worth all the effort, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of effort, a lot of forcing myself to get up and go to the gym and do my rehab,
Yeah,
but
right.
all with the goal of returning to competition.
Well, that's really wonderful. Well, thanks again, Maya. It was such a pleasure speaking with you, and best of luck with all your next pursuits. I know you've got a lot on your plate and a lot on the horizon, so it's very exciting. We'll be watching for you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
You're
it's
welcome,
been
Maya.
nice.
Thank you.